Hello everyone and welcome. This is my first video here, just cooking with AI. A little bit about myself. I'm just a cybersecurity professor. Everyone talking about AI. We teach AI to students in college and all this good stuff. So I was wondering, it's like, hey, let's see if AI can give me some good recipes and they actually come out good. I have tried a few out and they've been working pretty good. So here I am today. We're all a little bit under the weather, cold, flu, all that stuff's going around here in January, first of the year. We're all getting over it. That's why my voice may sound a little off. I may break up a little bit, but hopefully you'll bear with me. So I'm doing a homemade creamy chicken noodle soup recipe. Great for this time of year. I always get all my ingredients out first. Of course, I got carrots, onion, celery. They call for cloves of garlic, but I always use minced garlic. A teaspoon is 1 clove. Got my butter, got my noodles. Everything for my broth, some flour, some heavy cream and milk. Ain't got out yet, but they're just right in the refrigerator. I got my chicken pretty much thawed out. Normally I'll use the frozen chicken breast, but got some at the local grocery store, so we bought a big pack. About 2 pounds of chicken. As you can see here, you can see this. Anyways, this is from chat. Got a recipe from them, works pretty good. List all the ingredients, and I will put this down in the description comment section, so if you ever want to follow this. But yeah, I'm just trying it out. Grew up working construction, not much to tell. Got a PhD in network security. Like I said, teach at the university now. Been in the field a little bit, done a little bit of networking. So now at this point I'm just like messing around cooking. No formal background, never worked as a chef, never went to school for a chef or anything like that. So this is just me goofing off. Have done a few things, like I said, the hamburger stew I've made, this chicken soup, lasagna, a few things like that. Might do Alfredo tomorrow, look into like a pork Italian sausage type spaghetti here this weekend. But for today we're gonna go over this chicken noodle soup. Pretty easy recipe, lays everything out for me. So I'll do all my prep work first. I'll cut up my celery, my onions, my carrots, all that good stuff. We'll move over to the pot over there, which you can probably see already got on the stove. Got a pretty big pot because I will use about 7 cups of chicken broth to make this. Because once we put the egg noodles in, the flour, the heavy cream, all that will thicken it up pretty good. As you can tell, they've been getting me some aprons since I've been like this cooking, so you might see different ones. Hopefully you'll stick around, just show that anyone can cook, even if you have no knowledge, no background in it. A lot of times chat will give me a recipe for certain ingredients and I won't have it, and I'll screenshot what I have and they're like, hey, we'll work with that, and we'll modify the recipe to fit. So that's always good techniques to know. Even if you don't know what you have, you can list the ingredients in there and say, hey, what can I make with this? This is in no way, shape, or form a health channel. I'm not saying this is going to be perfectly healthy and all that, because as you can tell, I like to eat, so I'm not worried about overly healthy, but I do want it to taste good, somewhat healthy. Obviously we don't want just a bunch of junk, so I try to use fresh ingredients, make most of the stuff homemade as I can. A lot of this video I'll shorten down for a TikTok. I'll have the extended version on YouTube if you want to watch the whole process. You just want to watch me chop everything up, you want to watch a pot boil for 20 minutes, that's up to you. If that's your thing, that's cool. We'll skip most of this on the short version on the TikToks or whatever, on the the 3-4 minutes, however it comes out to. But so first, like I said, I got all my ingredients out. Not a whole lot of seasoning in this. You got the chicken broth, you got salt, pepper, a little bit of sage. Everything else, you give some flavor at the end, will be a little bit of heavy cream is what I like to use. About a cup of it, so it's a little bit more than a little bit of flour mixed in, just to thicken it up. I don't really like overly watery soup type stuff, so I make mine a little bit thicker for that reason. Now you can obviously skip that, make it a little bit healthier. Heavy cream's got a lot of calories, sugar, fat, all that good stuff in it, but that's what makes it taste good, right? So that's what we're going to do. So that gives you the instructions pretty good. Once we heat the butter, olive oil in a pot, add my onions, carrots, celery. I'm going to cook that 6 to 8 minutes. Add my garlic. Once I add the garlic, stir it for about 30 seconds. It seems like that's an activator, using garlic in there for a quick 30-45 seconds. Stir it around, let it really enhance the flavor. Then we'll bring all our chicken in, our broth, all that good stuff. And that's where I'll do a long cook, 20-30 minutes. We'll take the chicken out, shred it, add it back, add the noodles, another 8-10 minutes until the noodles done. Add our heavy cream, thicken it. Once everything heats up, it's good to go. Most of these recipes I mean, probably an hour, excuse me. Probably an hour, hour and a half at the most. You know, some of them I'll do a homemade cornbread, which is real simple: cornstarch, flour. You know, I make a sweet cornbread, so a little bit of sugar in it, half a cup. But most of the stuff's pretty easy to make. Nothing's overly complicated. Most of the stuff's gonna be common ingredients we have. Nothing's overly, you know, expensive. So you can make a lot of this stuff pretty good at home. Like I said, we'll do the chicken Alfredo. It has a homemade version for the sauce. Sounds pretty good. I might try it. It's more heavy cream in it. So I don't know. It just depends on how I feel. I got some George Alfredo sauce. Always works as well. You know, those are quick and easy meals. I also do stuff in the crock pot. You know, we did chili just the other day, which, you know, this is my first video, like I said. So I just been trying it out, see how it works. But other than that, we're gonna get started. I may talk off and on, may not. You know, if you ask my family, I like to talk, so probably will talk quite a bit during all this. I take the easy way out on these onions. I don't try to really peel them. I might lose the top layer here, but I mean, who's got time to sit there and peel these suckers off non-stop, right? So I like onions pretty good. My wife likes them. My son's 13. He don't. But I found if I really dice them up really good and cook it in there, he can't tell they're in there. He's been eating everything we've been putting in front of him. Of course, I think he's at the age where he's growing. He's almost as big as me. I don't know if you can tell. I'm 6'1", and, you know, about 280. He's almost caught up to me at 13. Of course, he only weighs about 240, so still got a little bit on the weight department on him. But he's a big boy, so anything I put in front of him, he's pretty much going to eat right now. Especially as long as he don't have to make it. That's the key. He don't want to make anything. So if you make it for him, put it in front of him, I'm sure everyone's kid's probably the same. If they don't have to cook it, they're probably going to eat it. Now a lot of these recipes, and the good thing with chat, now I have the paid version, so it does, you know, remember my preferences and all that stuff. You can kind of build a profile, they kind of say, with it. You know, remember your choices. Like my wife don't like the thyme seasoning, so all the recipes, it will do a workaround. You know, a little bit of sage, maybe some parsley, something like that. It will find out ways to work around certain things you don't like. Me being from the south here, I like things a little spicy, so several recipes I'll have cayenne seasoning I get to add, stuff like that. Generally, I don't almost never add the salt it adds. You know, maybe a touch of salt. I typically don't add the salt for simple reason. I mean, everything else, the broth, everything else got enough salt in it, and then you can always salt the taste. If someone likes more salt in it or less at the end, they don't have to worry about. Can't take salt out, but you can always add it to it when you get your plate. I don't know if you can really see that or not, but like I said, I like to chop it up pretty fine. Once you stir it in with, you know, a couple cups of noodles, a couple pounds of chicken, all the broth and everything, it becomes really fine. You can't taste it. Cooks out very well. As for the carrots, I like the carrots in my stuff. I'd probably do them whole. Not everyone else feels the same, so I will chop those up a little bit, more like just a little round carrot. And again, if you're pressed for time, you know, you don't have them on hand, you could use canned carrots if you wanted. You may not cook them as long because these, you know, are obviously not cooked yet, so they will need to cook with everything else just to make sure they cook through and soften up. And again, if you need, just put it in the AI and have it modified based on the ingredients you have, and it'll do it. It's been very good with that. It asked for stuff. At first, it was giving me some fancy stuff like this is going to be a 5-star restaurant. So I had to slow it down and let it know, hey, simple ingredients, simple stuff from the house. So that's what we're doing here. Like you can see, these are just the baby carrots. See how I cut them? I mean, probably not even the size of a dime. Really thin, not much to them. But they cook fast, they'll cook through, so they'll be good and soft. Like I said, I don't taste them in there, but my taste buds are not like overly refined. There's a lot of things I don't taste subtle differences in. So don't take my word on anything here. Experiment, try. The good thing with these broths, when you get done, you'll be able to taste them. You can modify, add, you know. We're getting in a time where AI does a lot for us. A lot of people are behind. You know, you see the older crowd, they don't like to keep up with this stuff. They have their recipe books and all that. I like to be able to be a little bit more flexible, adjust things as I go, substitute and swap things. I've known people that, you know, when they cook, they gotta have exactly what's on the list. Sometimes it's hard to swap. A little bit of cooking I done before this, I learned from my wife, so she's taught me, hey, we just use whatever we got, and it comes out great every time. Most of the time you can't tell the difference between anything, so that's what I just tend to go with, and AI is very, very good with that. And almost every recipe you get from AI, they will give us a, you know, slow cooker recipe. You can prep this stuff the night before. You can get up in the morning. You can put it to a crock pot. Most crock pots, you know, from my understanding, work the same way. They'll give you a time limit. You put 7 hours on there. You set the timer. You leave. You go to work. Once it hits 7 hours, it's just going to kick it off from low down to warmer. And it'll be warm when you get home. You know, you can have. I mean, I've made meatloafs in crock pots. So, or I say me. My wife has made meatloaf in crock pots. I've not done it yet, which I've helped her off and on. I mean, meatloaf is pretty simple in my opinion. But a lot of these things is, you know, we're all busy. You know, if everyone's like my family, both me and my wife both work. I think that's about common everywhere. Even if you don't work, if someone's at home, you don't always have time, you know, especially if you have children, if you got activities you're involved in, you know, community stuff that you do, our hobbies, our personal time, you know, we all got stuff we want to do. We don't always have time to do, you know, everything, and cooking's included. So most of these videos are, like I said, quick and easy, you know, hour prep time. I mean, I've been going here for a few minutes, and it's, you know, probably, we'll say I'm 5 minutes in the video, 10 minutes, whatever. It's almost 11 o'clock. I should be done by 12. And as I go, a lot of times I have 20, 30 minutes here. Most recipes you do. And since, you know, luckily got a nice kitchen here where everything's right together, my stove, my dishwasher, my sink, I tend to clean up as I go. Makes it a lot easier. We're done. You don't have all these dishes piled up. And you got the time in between where you're letting stuff simmer, prep for a few minutes. So I just throw it in there while I'm cooking. Makes it easier on everybody. My wife's great when we're done. She's, you know, taking care of laundry and cleaning the house, but I'm cooking now. So it's really freed everything up for both of us. Made everything a lot easier. And we just get up, knock stuff out as it needs to be done. I mean, there's no set rules anywhere. I don't think that's, you know, that's hard to do anywhere. Everyone has, you know, needs help every now and then. You know, sometimes I might cook, sometimes she might cook. As we go, you might see her on these videos, you might see me doing these videos. It just really depends on our time frame. We're both university professors at a small private, you know, college. I teach cybersecurity. She's finance, business. So I got most of this stuff done. I got a lot of carrots, a lot of onions. About to do the couple stalks of celery. One thing I've noticed in all these recipes, you better keep onions and celery on hand, because I don't know what it is with AI, but they love adding that to everything, and I guess it just enhances flavor. A lot of recipes I didn't have no celery, so I just used this, you know, I had this celery flake seasoning. I used it. So like I said, you can modify stuff to make it fit whatever you need. Not everything's got to be 100%. And you can prep ahead of time. You know, we all got an extra minute or two. We can just run it through the AI here. Let's see what I need. I can pull it out. The great thing is, like I said, it'll take any recipe. It'll give you the slow cook version. It'll give you the, you know, how to prep ahead of time. It gives you recommendations on how long it'll stay in the refrigerator. So if you like to meal prep early in the week, like this chicken noodle soup will hold up to 3 to 4 days. So you can make it on Sundays. You want to have it, you know, Tuesday that week or Wednesday at the latest. I know sometimes that's a way to go. People like to meal prep ahead of time. I'm just lucky in the sense that, you know, since I am in the college setting, I run the program for the cybersecurity, so I get to set my own schedule. You know, teach 5 classes, do a lot of work from home that I need to, office hours, stuff like that. So I have the freedom. I can run in here for an hour or two and cook. We still eat out 2 or 3 times a week like normal. Just trying to get to where I cook maybe, you know, 3 to 4 days at home. Just because, you know, every time you go to eat out, family of 3, you know, you're $120 in. Heck, you're $100 in almost just to fast food anymore. And you can make these meals a lot cheaper, and they're a lot better than just running through fast food. You know, everyone knows you go through fast food, most of the time it's fried or greasy, so it's probably not the best for us. So we're trying to cut that down for health reasons. Not that we're sick or anything like that. We just want to try to eat a little bit better. So here I got everything prepped, as you can see. Very colorful board. I got my greens, got my carrots, got my onions. So our next step here, like I said, you'll see me look at my phone all the time because I have the AI app on here. So I'm gonna go through, see what it's got. Now I got everything out and ready. Only thing I'm gonna do real quick, this holds 8 cups. I'll go ahead and make my chicken broth. Nothing fancy. You can use the cubes as like a 1-for-1, I think. I use this right here. It's what we already had. So this is, it's 3 teaspoons per 4 cups of water. I'll go a little bit heavier because you don't taste, to me the chicken broth's not that strong. So I may end up with 7 teaspoons and 8 cups of water, which is slightly more, probably a 1/4 teaspoon, 1/2 teaspoon more. That gives a little bit extra chicken flavor. I like that. And then when I add the heavy cream and all that, then be great. Of course, my energy drink, gotta have it. I switch between coffee, energy drinks, just whatever I'm really feeling for the day. So once I get this broth going, because once I get everything in the pot, once you add the onions, olive oil, all that good stuff, mix them around. You don't want them set too long because it will burn pretty easy on the bottom. So you want to kind of stir it at a constant basis. So I'll stir it, add my stuff to it, do the 7-8 minutes, add my garlic, stir for about a minute. Then at that point I'll need to add everything else in, which is the broth, the chicken, the sage, black pepper, like I said, salt. Might sprinkle a little bit in, most of the time I do not. So I'll add all that in. Once I get it going, bring it to a boil, stir everything up again. We'll let it simmer, calm down. Just let it cook 20 minutes to really cook the chicken out. I take it out, shred it, cube it, dice it, whatever I feel like. Get some mixture of all, don't matter to me. And then that's it. Once we get to that point, it's cooking eggs. And once I shred the chicken, cooking the egg noodles, not the eggs, but the egg noodles for about 8-10 minutes. And we're pretty much done. So let me get the broth going. I'll kind of move you over here. Not got to set up to record on my phone. I can put the recipe printed out, whatever I need. I may do that eventually where it's easier to move my phone around. Right now I'm on my PC recording. Like I said, just started. I got a phone stand somewhere, just too lazy to find it, I guess. So I'm just using my PC where I'm gonna edit the video anyway before I add it. But again, calls for 6 to 8 cups. I normally do around 7, 8ish. Last time I did 6. Once I added the 2 cups of noodles, thickened it up with a heavy cream and flour. It was really thick. I probably wanted a little bit more juice in that, so I'm gonna go with probably 7 cups, 8 cups this time. Like I said, I don't like it real soupy where you just got a bunch of liquid in there, but I do want like some liquid in there. It's nice to have that chicken broth at the end when it's nice and hot to drink on, especially when you're under the weather. Winter time when it's cold, it seems like soups, stews, chilies, all this stuff goes very well. Here we are today. It's calling for a little rain, changing over to snow. It's gonna be in the 30s and 40s for highs next week or so. So this will go pretty good next couple of days. So let me get going with that. I'll be in and out while I'm doing this. And even though I've done it a time or two, I always still check, make sure it does say teaspoon for each one. Now I don't go through, and as you can see, it's probably sticking over a little bit. So I dip it in there, kind of shake it, tap it on there, and that's close enough for me. So it probably does get a little extra that way, even beyond the 7 scoops I'm going to give it. I do try to stay pretty close. cold flu type thing. We came out pretty good. I know a lot of people has had the flu, had it pretty rough. We mainly just had a cold, a lot of congestion, all that fun stuff. But see, this actually goes in my mixer, but I don't need to get the whole mixer out. I can just use it, stir it up. So as long as the end result comes out a tasty meal, how you do it, how you get there, is perfectly fine to me. If you need to use more canned ingredients versus, chopping up, keeping onions, keeping carrots. If you get into more cooking, it seems like having all that on hand is used quite a bit. Only takes a minute to chop it up. You see, I'm only maybe 10-15 minutes into this. We got about 30 minutes of cooking, 35-40 minutes at the most. So I'll be right near that hour. Like I said, hour and a half, just depends. Some of the larger meals take a little bit more prep, more cooking. So it just depends on what we're doing. I try to get everything when we're within, an hour or 2 hours at absolute max. I mean, you're getting that long, you're almost making a full-blown Thanksgiving or Christmas dinner or something like that. But I try to avoid that if I can. Like the quick and easy meals is what we're going to go for. We're going to move everything over here so I can show you. I do need to work on my uhs and ahs. I catch myself saying that quite a bit. Try to avoid that when I can. Can't always guarantee it. So let me see. I need 2 tablespoons of butter and a tablespoon of olive oil. I typically just gauge olive oil. I'm not going to sit there and measure out. Pour some in. If it looks like it's enough, works for me. I typically go maybe, that's about 2.5 tablespoons of butter. If you buy the butter from the store, they'll list on there, they'll have on the side of the wrapping, it'll show you how much a tablespoon is. So you can just cut it based on that. Again, our stuff diced up, pretty small. We've been in this place several years now. We built it, bought our own property, built it. Like I said, come from a construction background, so why not save money? Just now got our kitchen finished, been here probably almost 10 years. We have a small farm, miniature zebu, got some horses, rabbits, chickens. I mean, have a little bit of everything here. Miniature cow, like I said, they're called a zebu. So we've just rather had all that. We built barns, built fences, pastures, expanded our herd. I just now built a kitchen finally, like I said, almost after 10 years. So we're enjoying it, getting to cook more, getting to do stuff. So here it just recommends the butter, the olive oil, put it in the pot, turn it on medium high. If you got the dials, I found medium high is probably around a 7, 8, somewhere like that on there. That's 10 to where I put it. This stove here, this front burner actually has 2 different eyes. You can activate a small ring or a large ring. So I got to be careful with it. First time I did cook a little bit too much. Chicken came out a little bit tough. So I got to make sure I turn it down just 1 eye instead of the 2. So keep that in mind sometimes. I learned to kind of watch this during the simmer phase. Last time I covered it and simmer it for 25 minutes. Came back, it was boiling, which made the chicken a little tough. So you don't want it boiling when you get to that part. So according to here, the steps you got, 5 steps to get this done. First steps, prepping, got everything cut up, done. So we're going to add the butter, the olive oil. Once the butter melts in there, I'll add all the onions, carrots, and celery. We'll do 6-7 minutes stirring, letting the onions soften up. That's the main thing. The carrots will soften up in the broth and the broil. Just the onions, what we're worried about right here, get it softened up. That 6 minutes, something like that, 6 to 8 minutes, somewhere in that neighborhood. We'll add the garlic. Again, 1 teaspoon of garlic replace 1 garlic clove is what I found. Works out very well. Pretty sure I googled it at one point, and that's how I came to that. This is a big pot. It holds a little over 6 quarts, 6.5 quarts. So this is a big one I like using for these noodles, and it'll about fill this whole thing up. So hamburger stew I've cooked in here. The chicken noodles now we're doing here. I can do a chili in here, so I got these big pots. And you can see our rack here, we got several different sizes. Got my lasagna bowls, my big bowls uncooked stuff, my pots, pans, all that good stuff. My other one's in the sink here. I'll probably do my Alfredo with tomorrow. But so now I got this on. Thanks to my brother-in-law, Shout out to David. This is a sprayer for olive oil. Fantastic. Even has the little lid pulls over so I can pour some in. Like I said, just guessing a tablespoon there. I'm not going to measure it out. A little bit extra is not going to kill me, I don't think. Of course, with all these, these stainless steel and all this other stuff, and you got scratch resistance, or whatever they call it, non-stick. They want you to use wooden spoons. So that bought a fairly expensive set. You don't have to get one like that. They all cook the same. We tried one of their products at first. I think it's called Our Place. That's what all this green stuff is behind me. We tried their big pot. This one that's hanging here. But you can cook with it in the oven or on the stove top as like a flat top griddle. And it worked out very well. Very impressed with it. We bought a set, and of course all of them come with these wooden spoons, but that's how they want you to cook everything. They don't want you to scratch nothing up. So I'm doing my best to follow instructions as I can. Alright, so as you see, onions in, carrots in, celery in. The butter, I did about 2.5 tablespoons, not 2. Probably end up with a tablespoon and a half of olive oil or something I poured in there. So we're going to stir this up. You don't have to stir constantly, but you want to probably stir more than you don't stir. Once we get the onion soft a little bit, 6-8 minutes, somewhere in that time frame, we're going to add the garlic. Again, I got my teaspoon measuring cup. I just got minced garlic that I keep in the refrigerator. Each teaspoon's roughly a garlic clove I found. I'm going to add 3 garlics, 30 minutes. The broth's going in, the chicken's going in, the season. Stir it, let everything get broke up. And this recipe I formed because I showed Chat the chicken I have. We buy the frozen chicken breast. And they come out very well. Don't even have to thaw them, nothing. We throw them in frozen. A lot of meals actually come out very good, especially do crock pot meals. Keep them pretty tender. You don't have to worry about nothing else going on. You don't have to thaw them first or nothing like that. You just throw them in a crock pot. Make whatever you're doing. I did chicken and dumplings in the crock pot the other day. It came out very well. Handmade the dumplings and all that good stuff. I try to, and most of the stuff, you can do the quick way. Grab biscuits. We used to do that out of the freezer, the frozen ones. Throw them in there, let them cook. The dumplings came out nice, but they actually give you that, that texture, that flavor of something to actually chew into. It's not, too watery. Sometimes the biscuits, the top half will cook, not the bottom half. You pre-cook them, send them in there. It's just don't get all the flavor in it like the dumplings do. It was just pretty much a flour ball with some milk and stuff rolled up. Take chunks, throw them in there. It worked out very well. Even on the reheat on the second day when we ate the leftovers, still worked out very well. So if you're like me, Chat starts using these big words, just tell it, hey, close it down to simple English. All this, what this means, that means. This how much I do not cook. I had to ask it what the word of simmer means. Is it just low heat? Does it need to be boiling? So don't be afraid to ask questions. Go through the chat, just Google it real quick. As I said, if the outcome's a tasty meal for the family, that's all that really matters right here. Not worried about, how we do it, how we look doing it. If someone don't like the way we look doing it, they can come cook it themselves, right? So again, this stove with a double high burner. Simmered it down a little bit, took the heat down to probably about a 5 range. Because both eyes are burning right now, it gets pretty warm. Our biggest thing, we want to what they call caramelizing the onions, meaning they're going to start turning brown. That's the key here. So if you've not cooked before and it says caramelized onions, you're going to cook them in the butter, the olive oil, something like that, until they start turning brown color, and that caramelized. You don't want to go past that because then they'll, be burned. I guess the flavor changes. The flavor profile, as they say, whatever that means. I'm not trying to be Gordon Ramsay, so I don't know all these big words. I'll look this stuff up. Yeah, I'm just going on what chat tells me. It says, hey, cook it 6 minutes, 6 to 8 minutes. Let them caramelize. I said, what's caramelize? I said, until they start turning brown. That's what I'm doing. And that's the whole point of this thing. We're going to just take recipes right off an AI, see how they work, see how they come out. Not every recipe is going to come out good, but if we have, like I said, my taste buds, most things, if it's edible, I'm probably pretty good. My son and my wife, they'll tell me if they don't taste good or not. They've obviously recommended me cook this again. Just cooked it a week and a half ago, so this one must have came out pretty good. So I'm sticking to the same recipe. I'm not for sure the free version of these AIs. The one that I pay a little bit monthly for, they have where you can create project folders to keep everything in. So I created a cooking profile and I do a recipe each one, so I can go back to it. I'll tell it to save this recipe. The AI will go through. I can just pull it back up. Everything's there. My ingredients list. The changes I made. There's been several things like the hamburger stew. It came up and I was like, well, I'd rather have more southern flavor, a little bit of heat touch to it, cayenne, something like that. And that came out very well. So now when I get down and get everything I like, if it sounds good to me, then I have it reprint the whole list with that profile that we created. And that way when you go back into that, that chat string you had going there, if you save it, you'll have everything right there ready to go. You just pull it up, all your ingredients are there, everything you've created with it. So don't be afraid to look at what it tells you, read through it. You're like, I just don't know if I'm gonna like that or not. Modify it, change it. That's the beauty of it. You can make these AIs learn, your preferences, your taste, what you want to do, what you don't want to do, and that's what it's there for. We're building AI. Yeah, we're using AI to scan X-rays, and we're doing network security with it. It's taking away probably 90% of what the human needs to do is print the reports for us to look after. It can monitor, do IDS systems and all this other fun stuff. But it can also help with everyday life. Here we are cooking with it, making life easier. Has something I don't know, I say, here's the ingredients I got. What can I make with this? I got basic seasoning. I got some chicken. I got a couple different noodle types. What can I make? I got flour. I got seasonings. It'll give you options. Alfredos. You can make chicken noodle soup. We can do chicken and dumplings. We can do. I want to do a chicken cordon bleu. Just need a little bit of ham, a little bit of Swiss cheese, chicken. So you can make different things just with a lot of basic ingredients you don't realize. And that's what I'm having chat do. I want to have it come up with recipes, ideas. We're going to utilize it. So now that I got this in, like I said, now it's time for the minced garlic here. Don't have garlic cloves, don't keep them on hand. Like I said, each teaspoon is 1 garlic clove I found. It comes out very well. This, you do want to stir constantly. You want to stir around the whole thing. Chat explained it to me one time. When I say chat, it's ChatGPT, the AI, open AI, owns them, in case you just wonder why I keep saying chat. That's ChatGPT. Most AIs you can use, there's several, decent AIs out there. And there's probably AIs that's dedicated to cooking, I don't know. But I find, especially with a lot of the college age students, ChatGPT is what's used, 99% of the time it seems like. That's the one everyone hears. You tell anyone AI, majority of the time they're going to know ChatGPT. So this is something, like I said, 30 seconds on this. We're going to have the broth. Alright. See what we need now. So once I do the garlic for 30 seconds, we're going to add our seasoning, which is just sage, black pepper, chicken broth, and the chicken. We're going to bring this to a boil after that. And once it's boiling, we're going to reduce to a simmer. And so on this stove I found out, because it's the double eye burner, I'm going to go to 1 eye, around a 2 on the, if you got the 1 to 10, it seems like most people have that on the stove. If you got something fancy temperature wise, I have no idea what that means. Just ask chat. Here's my stove model. It has this feature, what's simmer. And they'll tell you what simmer is, I'm sure. So I'm done with that. As you see, you just got whole chicken breast. Once I get them out, I'll cut this fat off, shred it up. But for now, just adding that to it. So you actually see I'm adding 2 more. This will be for my Alfredo either tomorrow or the day after. I'm gonna go ahead and cook the chicken up. Chicken broth flavor is not gonna hurt in an Alfredo sauce. When it gets cooked up, I'm gonna leave it whole because I might want to dice it or whatever I do. Depends on what AI tells me to do, rather. Another reason I went with the more chicken broth as well, to make my soup a little bit extra juice in there. Last time, once I got done with the noodles, the heavy cream, the flour, all that good stuff, like I already told you, I didn't have much juice left. I like a little bit of juice. I don't like it watery, soupy. So here I'm bringing the heat up to, on my stove of 7. Wait till I get this boiling. I'm gonna finish adding all my seasonings real quick. Let's see. So once a 3/4 teaspoon of pepper, sage, and salt. Not doing the salt. Seems like enough pepper. Close enough. Same on the sage. It's good enough for who it's for, right? We're the one eating it, so you can measure them out if you want. It just depends on your preference. I did make a little bit of mistake there, I see. Let's see. 7. The mistake I made was I used a 1/2 teaspoon. Instead of the full teaspoons. So on the garlic, I'm not worried about it. I am adding more chicken broth and mix into all that before I get it really cooking. Won't be much difference than just adding the water that we've already done. That'd really take away from the chicken flavor. I'll have all the chicken broth in there. So we'll stir that up. I will still need my cutting board when we're done. I don't think I have any more seasoning I gotta worry about adding. I will have now a cup of heavy cream, 1/2 cup of milk, and then 2 tablespoons of flour I'll mix in once everything's completely done. So that's after we add the noodles, add everything into it. I'll add the cream and everything in, and that thickens it up. Brings out what they call a richness. Gives it more flavor. So at this point we're at step 2 of 5. The chicken's in. Once it gets to a boil, I'll stir it again, simmer it down, check on it every few minutes to make sure it's not boiling again. We'll adjust that because last time the chicken did get a little bit tough. Not too bad. When you cook them in a soup base like this, they come out pretty good. It keeps them from getting overly tough. Chicken's always been hard for me to cook. Cooking on a skillet, stovetop, something like that. It's hard to get it where it's not tough for some reason. Crock pots they work great in. We found throw them in the crock pot when they're frozen, not cooking them first, come out real tender, juicy, keeps all that flavor. I don't know if I need to work on searing them and then cooking them. I don't know. We'll ask AI next time, right? That's what we're here for. So the next step after this cooks, shred the chicken, add the noodles, shred the chicken's a step, add the noodles a step, another 8-10 minutes cooking. Final step is just adding in the heavy cream, milk, flour, thicken it up, let it come back, simmer for 2 to 3 minutes, not boiling, just simmering, helps it thicken up, lets everything cook in good. Once it's all done, you just serve it. Recommendations for a side, let's see, and they'll tell you what you can add to it. I forgot what I saw here a minute ago. So we can do either grilled cheese, crusty bread, or crackers. That's typically what we do. We like our Ritz crackers, our saltine crackers for this very well. A lot of times I'll have butter dish and spread a little butter on them, go with it. That's typically what we do. So this is most of our work. Here we are, roughly 30 minutes in. This has got to go 20 minutes. Shred the chicken, do the noodles 10 minutes. We're looking at another 30 minutes. We'll be right at an hour. Time we finish everything up, maybe an hour, 15 minutes. Not overly complicated. Cutting up stuff, adding it, just double check your teaspoon versus tablespoon. I did the half teaspoon instead of the full one. And we've had these quite a while. They're about rubbed off. I just noticed the little dash at 1-2. I guess that's me, a little bit of a hurry, watching the video, making sure I'm kind of doing a little commentary, whatever, not paying attention to what I was doing. Most things are easy fix on the seasoning because we're right at the stage where we're adding the broth. Luckily I saw it then. If not, at the end, all these recipes have the option where you can add more broth to it, add more seasoning to it, whatever you need to do to enhance the flavor. There's different ways to do that. The bouillon cubes work really well for that. The powder's about the same thing we already just broke down. I'm gonna let this come to a boil, kind of put away some of the seasoning, the refrigerator stuff, the carrots, the celery, all that good stuff. I'll go ahead and put it away while I'm waiting. And that's what I typically do when I'm cooking. Here I'm gonna go through, once this is done, I shred the chicken, I'll be done with this cutting board. I'll get all this put into the dishwasher. Then once we're all done eating, we can put our bowls and our cups from this morning, our coffee and teas, and we'll just go ahead and run the load. We'll be ready to go. I'll have comments on as it goes through. If it picks up a lot of people commenting, I'll use AI to weed out the comments and get the overall themes. I really don't go through and read a lot of comments. You have to forgive me on that. These first few videos I might. Eventually I'll get in there where you can email me or something like that to contact me if you need to, but it's pretty straightforward. So I'm going to leave this running. At this point, a lot of this stuff will be edited out, just depends on what I put online. A lot of things will be cut through. We'll have a full version on YouTube if you want to watch the whole thing. May have to get me either a little GoPro on my chest or something so you can see what I'm doing as I'm cooking, or set up something. We'll see as we go. But for now, that's what we got. We'll start getting stuff cleaned up. Just watch. We'll be back in 20 minutes. According to this, we've been going 42 minutes, so another 30 minutes left, and we're going to be pretty much done. I'll show you when I get out the chicken. I cut it, I shred it, it's kind of whatever. I don't go through the whole shredding process with a fork and shred it out. I will cut away and weed out some of the fat or gristle, or you want to call that stuff, on that chicken. But other than that, add the noodles for 10 minutes, but I will keep it running and show you that and be back commentary for that. So what I like to do when I see it start boiling, I'll stir everything around. I'll make sure the boil is all the way through. You'll get 1 or 2 spots will heat up before the rest because you have all the chicken in the way of some spots. So I'll stir it up a time or two to make sure it's really boiling before. I want the whole thing boiling good. Helps cook the chicken. That boiling is what's going to kill anything if there's anything left. Some people like to do the, wash the chicken and not, it's whatever. Whatever you prefer, wherever you do, that's fine. That's what you do. Me, I just get it to a boil. That's what's AI told me works. Don't have to wash it. Don't have to do none of that. Again, whatever you think needs to be done, that's what you need to do. Alright, so I got it good and boiling, even stirring it, still boiling. So I'm going to take this down to about a 2. I'm going to set my timer on here. AI told me 20 minutes, so I got a timer set for 20 minutes. So I'll be, running around, sitting there playing games or something, I'm sure. Responding to emails, students, whatever I got. I like doing a little bit of gaming on the side. I say a little bit. I like gaming quite a bit. Did a lot of gaming. Nothing competitively, just like goofing off. Cold days like this, can't be outside really doing much on the farm. We put hay and everything in the field yesterday. Got all that fun stuff done. We're all under the weather. So I'm not going to go out there when it's kind of a rainy, drizzly, cold day. Forget that. We're already just getting over what we got. So I notice here I turned it down to a 2. Turn it to 1 eye and it's still boiling. So I'm going to keep an eye on this. I'm going to turn it down a little bit lower. Got it probably on a 1. Like I said, just the center eye. I want to make sure don't boil the whole time like last time. Last time I'm pretty sure it boiled to 20 minutes, and that's why the chicken was a little overdone. I want you to cover. Told me to cover. That's what we did. Again, I'm just going off recipes. The only adjustments I've really done with the AI is tell it my flavor profile. I like things little bit extra creamy, you know, a little bit rich. I like heat and a lot of my stuff, so more southern flavor. So it does have the different things. You know, the first time I read it, seemed very basic, bland. I mean, to me, just throwing a pack of ramen noodles, I'm gonna do that. So I wanted something that had a little bit more to it. So that's where we came up with, you know, a little bit of seasoning that's got the celeries, the carrots, the onions. Of course, it wanted the onions and celery to begin with. Added the carrots as, you know, extra vegetable. A little bit extra on the chicken broth, the heavy cream, and the flour to thicken at the end gives it that extra flavor that we like to have a little bit more to it. But so here it is. Got my timer set. Got 18 minutes to go. It's not boiling right now, so that's a good thing. I'm gonna come back maybe 5-10 minutes, check it. If it's not doing then, I'll wait till the end. Hopefully it won't start boiling. I'll just get it out, cut everything up. So I have my same knife that I cut up the carrots, onion, and celery with. Should be fine. Again, if you like new knives every time you cut something, that's fine. You do it however you need to do it. I'm not here to judge. I'm just here to show you we can get recipes off AI, simple, effective. They come out pretty good. So that's the key. That's what we're doing. I'll be back here in probably 5 minutes. Check it. If not, we got roughly 18 minutes, 17 minutes left before we add the shred up the chicken, add it back to the pot, put the noodles in, bring it back to a boil. Another 10 minutes after that, thicken it up, and we're ready to serve. Still not boiling, so we're good. Quick side note, if you turn these into crock pot recipes, on high, typically 3 to 4 hours to do a meal. On low, you're looking at 8 hours. On the stove, we're around an hour, hour and a half. It's all fits in your time. If you got to be running around doing stuff, you can set a crock pot. Like I said, once the time goes out, it'll just go to warm. You just get to it whenever you can. That works a lot. We do that quite a bit when we're running around, crazy schedule. We don't have, you know, an hour or two to dedicate to make sure we cook everything, get everything done. So it all depends on your own profile, but you know, your time constraints, what you got going on. You can always just ask the AI, say, hey, turn this to a slow cooker recipe or a crock pot recipe, and it'll give you everything, how to add it, when to add it. You will have some in-between steps. You know, you have to let the broth cook a little bit with the chicken. You have to take it out, shred it, add it back. So that's something you'll have to kind of plan for and figure. If you don't already have the shredded chicken, you could probably do it with cooked chicken already, or, you know, pre-cooked, shredded, add it to it. I'm sure you just tell it what you got. It'll find a recipe for it to work for you. I like doing most of mine on the stove. An hour, hour and a half, we're good. So we got a little over 12 minutes, 13 minutes left. Probably won't check on it anymore. It's doing pretty good. I might come back in 5 minutes. I say I won't, but I may come back in another 5 minutes, check on it. Once that gets done, we'll just shred the chicken, add the noodles, and we're home free. Be right back. Five minutes to go, still not boiling, so we're doing pretty good. Again, this one has timer. Once it goes off, it starts playing some kind of cool little jingle music. So as soon as I hear it, I'll come back in here. We'll get chicken shredded, do the noodles. You know, 8 minutes go by pretty quick when you add noodles, getting it to a boil, stirring it, getting out the rest of the ingredients, the flour, the milk, the heavy cream. So I'll be back here in just a few more minutes. We'll finish this up. Don't need a cover anymore, so we'll go ahead and add this to the sink. My stove timer, I'm down to 30 seconds, so I'm going to turn that off. Alright, so at this point, just got to cut up, shred the chicken. I will take a fork and, you know, pull it, shred it as I'm cutting it with a knife. Some will shred, some will be cubed. Either way, it'll work out just fine. This recipe calls for either 1.5 to 2 pounds of chicken. That pack I had was over 3.5 pounds, but as I stated earlier, it's just going to be used for Alfredo here in the next couple of days. So I'm just going to put a couple of these up, just put them in a little container, they can cool off, add them to the refrigerator later. That way I already got the meat ready for Alfredo. I'll have to cook it anyways, but save me all that time later on. You know it's good southern cooking and southern family when you got just leftover Tupperware from lunch meat containers or something like that from the store. So here we go, let's see. Alright. Just want to set these over here out of the way, let them cool off. I'm going to throw them in the fridge when I'm done. But just wants me to cut it up. I'm going to check. Yep, everything's been done. So I don't do a whole lot of, a little bit of shredding, mainly more cutting. I don't mind having the chunks in there. I know a classic chicken noodles, you know, this shredded thing that you get, a little bit of chicken, a little bit of everything, but to me the chunks work just as well. Doing their spoots. See if you can. That's Spooter. That's Spot. One of our farm dogs. His sister's in there laid upside down on the couch, being a giant ham. Funny enough, they're brother and sister from the same litter, and couldn't be night and day any different. Spot here, the male, he's never met a stranger. Someone pulls up, open up their door, say get in, he's jumping in with you. Or the other one, she sees someone for the first time, she sounds like she wants to bite their head off. Heck, sometimes when I'm outside too long and come in, she'll act like I haven't opened the door. So David set a mission to break her, to make her friendly, but it was Megan that finished it off, turned her into a friendly dog, because even for a while, people that come over all the time, she still wouldn't warm up to, wouldn't let them touch. We sitting at my son's birthday party, and my younger brother was here, and I always had a little chair out in the corner of the porch I always sat on, and she'd sit right in front of me. She wasn't paying attention, she just used to me sitting there. Well, my brother sat down on the chair, and she just came and sat in front of it, thinking nothing about it. And he just petting on her head. She looks up when she sees him, about jumped out of her skin at how fast she wanted to get away from him. She thought it was me until she realized it wasn't, but she's a lot better now when people come over. Just a quick pet. She's fine. Like I said, that's between David and Megan doing that. Either that or got kicked from the horse from chasing them. One of them set her straight, but either way, she's got a lot better. So we go to bathe her or anything like that, and she's an absolute handful. But part of my son's chores, he bathed her last night. Said she jumped right in the tub. She never does that with us. We had to fight her tooth and nail to get in there. She just hopped in for him. I couldn't believe it. So, of course, he probably shouldn't have told that. He just got himself a permanent job now, bathing dogs. He's that good with them. But he wants to be a vet, so works out. He helps us give shots to animals. You know, we have penicillin and all that. We give her annual shots and give the horses their shots. We have had chickens get, caught by a fox, and we was able to save them, and he doctored them back to health. Possum, cats he found at a park that was left. So he's always been wanting to do animal stuff, and he's really good with it, and he keeps on doing it. So another one of the reasons me and my wife got into teaching is gives him a place to go to. Of course, we enjoy the teaching anyways. As you get older, I'm just in my 40s, but back surgery, shoulder surgery, all that fun stuff makes it a little bit hard to keep doing physical labor. Like I said, built houses, still own a garage door company, do that, but makes it a little bit difficult to keep doing that as you get older. So getting our PhDs and everything was always kind of our midlife retirement into a second career, and that's what we're doing now. Alright, so here we go. I'm just adding the chicken back. Now it's going to have me bring it back to a boil, add the noodles, so I'll do that. Got that cutting board, so we're going to put that in there. So I got it turned back on high, probably set to 7, 8 on the scale right now, if you're going off that. Okay, so actually, again, that's why I'm reading AI. So I gotta take my flour, my half a cup of milk, my 2 tablespoons of flour, whisk it in a cup, add it to this mix, and then simmer 3 to 5 minutes, so I don't need it to boil yet. And then after that, then I'll add the egg noodles and cook up to 10 minutes. So I actually do not bring it to a boil. That's why I have AI tell me what to do here. So let me get a cup here and get my half a cup of milk. Whisk in my 2 tablespoons of flour. It calls for whole milk, but I just have 2%, so I'm going to use it. I got half a cup in there. The good thing with these little measuring things, on the back side of the handle, it tells me too, because the front side you see is wore off. I wouldn't be able to know if that's tablespoon or teaspoon. A lot of that's when I first started. I'd double check myself. I'd see it'd say 1 tbsp, and I'm like, is that teaspoon, tablespoon? Never did really know, so I always have to double check myself, make sure I got it down right. I said the whole point of this channel is show that anyone can come in and do what I'm doing. No experience. Half the time I don't even know what the ingredients is, what it means to simmer and all this other stuff. I know it meant to turn down heat, but I didn't know how low. Still had to double check what a TSP and TBSP, the teaspoon and tablespoon. After a couple weeks of it, got it down pretty good now. But you know, when I first started, Google and AI was my friend. Just what everything means. This just shows anyone can come in. Right. So it wanted that mixture added. It wants me to stir this. Let it simmer 3 to 5 minutes. So I'll stir, mix this in. After that, it'll be time to add the egg noodles. My wife wanted me to try one time actually making my own noodles, either with spaghetti, egg noodles, something like that. And I will eventually. Now that will add more time to it, of course, but I just have the store-bought pack of just wide egg noodles is all I'm using. You can get into where you do the flour and all that. Roll out, make your own noodles. Be pretty cool to try. She's even telling me there's things where you can run them through the press to get the twist in them, or make different like spaghetti length and all that good stuff. We don't have any of that, but you know, if I keep this up, it becomes a decent hobby I like doing. I might start doing some of that. We just got a big mixing bowl we can mix. Gosh, I think it'll hold 10, 12 quarts. My wife loves baking during the holidays. Makes peanut butter balls, chocolate chip cookies, coconut. Sugar cookies, a little bit of everything. That'll help with all that. Make big batters at once. But I'm sure I can use that if I make my own noodles. I can make big balls of the flour, all the batter stuff. Then find some kind of press to put them through to cut and make my own noodles. May try that eventually. For now, I'm just using the store bought. The good thing, you add this flour, this milk combo in, it does start thickening it up some. Just let all the flavor, all our seasonings mixing in well. Mixing in the shredded chicken, cut, cube, dice, whatever you do to it, shred it. I kind of cut and pulled with a fork at the same time, so it shredded it and cut off chunks at the same time. And that worked great last time. Again, it depends on how fancy you want to get. If you want to take 2 forks and shred it all, be my guess. It's whatever you like. I'm basically just here to show anyone can do it. No experience, no knowledge, following the recipes. Only thing I recommend is you go in first and just build your flavor profile, as I said. Just let AI know what you like, your taste, your preference. A lot of the recipes at first had that thyme in it for whatever reason. My wife don't like the taste of that. So now I don't do it anymore. I do a mixture of sage and different seasonings to make up for it. Different combinations to overcome, the taste you don't like to give it the same outcome. Been working great so far. In fact, I don't even think we have a thyme seasoning in the house. I didn't see one of them. I was looking for it, but I had to ask. And that's when I found out she don't like the taste of it. So learn something new every day, huh? All right, we're a couple minutes in on this. Still simmering pretty good. No boiling, no bubbles coming up, so we know. About to add the noodles. About to stir every so often. And as I'm checking on this, stirring it, keeping on it, because it's only 10 minutes, I will get all my little stuff here cleaned up. I'll go ahead and get out my half cup of heavy cream, get ready to add it at the end. That really thickens it up. You simmer it in a couple more extra minutes at the end. Adds a lot of flavor to it. Adds a lot of fat too, but hey, that's what makes it taste good, right? Alright, so that's pretty good there. Regular pack right from the store, just wide egg noodles, nothing fancy. Always found it funny before. I've seen people watching these cooking shows and they get all these weird ingredients and seasonings and mechanisms in the kitchen that the average person's probably not going to have. So that's what gave me the idea. I got the kitchen built. I enjoy it. It's something I've been enjoying now for some reason. Give me something to break up my day sometimes. Trying different meals, different things out. So I thought surely got to be a way to do all this without all the fancy stuff, while having a ton of ingredients. Almost everyone was going to have flour, sugar, most of your common seasonings, sage, Italian seasoning. One thing I didn't have, but I got at the store, a couple bucks, mostly seasons per thing. There's probably 5 or 6 common seasons you're going to use a lot. A lot of these recipes loves onions, loves celeries. Whatever vegetable. We go through a lot of potatoes in this house. We love potatoes. I've done au gratin potatoes. We'll do scalloped potatoes one day, but just cutting them up into hamburger stews and stuff like that. We'll do a pork roast. Most of them we do in a crock pot because they come out real tender. We always add the little red potatoes to that as well. So that's common things we keep in the house anyways. And you can do the same. Use your common ingredients. You don't have to go all your way and buy all this fancy seasoning and all this fancy stuff. Like I said, to see some of these cooking shows and cooking whatever, and they got stuff, and they got equipment and machinery, and they got all this fancy stuff that never even heard of before. So we're just using basic ingredients, basic utensils, making it come out good. Use a lot of beef and chicken broth. Like I said, onions are in almost everything. You can do garlic if you want. I do the minced garlic, just keep it in the fridge, teaspoon in there, and we're good per clove. And that's it. So got about 10 minutes left on this. Add the heavy cream at that time. But in the meantime, we'll get all this stuff put out of the way, cleaned up, everything pretty much done. We'll go ahead and add this extra butter now. Because like I said, why not, right? Can never go wrong with too much flavor. Again, works out great. Right beside me here, here's my sink. Dishwasher's right beside it. Probably common everywhere you go, it seems like. So I'm gonna put all this up. All I gotta add left is my cup of heavy cream. I will measure it most of the time, not always, can't guarantee it. I do have an extra measuring cup. That way we get done with everything, get our bowls, we eat, all that good stuff, put the rest of them in here. Dishwasher will be good to go. Saves a lot of time and effort. Got 10 minutes to spare here anyway, so why not? getting over a little cold or something. All this talking got my throat hurting now. So about all I talking I'll do rest of the day. And we got dogs in the house, probably just like me. He lays right behind you when you're in here. So every time I turn around, I do a little acrobatic hop or skip or jump, make sure I don't fall over or something. So he's always right in my way. One thing that has worked out very well is this 32-inch farm style sink with just one big sink. That has been pretty awesome. It's funny looking back on now the way we were for 10 years. We just wanted to build our barn, expand our farming herd. Didn't really care one way or another if we had our kitchen yet. But now that we got it, it's pretty nice. We both tend to enjoy it quite a bit. More room, get everything stored away nice. For 10 years we cooked in a toaster oven and a little plug-in electric skillet is what we did. Made do, pretty easy. Smaller meals, just wasn't probably no room to store anything away, so you're always juggling, moving stuff around so you can cook. So I guess that's part of the reason why it's been nice or why I've been in here cooking. We got room, got everything stored away. Can get to everything, try different things out. Got the room to cut up stuff. But that was just, we was building out a pocket, saved us expense, the cost. Bought the land ourselves and then did everything ourselves. Cleared it, did fencing, did all the bush hogging, driveways. I mean, we had the driveway and septic put in by someone when we first did it, but do all the maintenance ourselves, use our tractor to scrape and keep our road cleared out, add gravel to it whenever. Saw a hand wash that little pan there. That's that new set we got from called Our Place. It recommends it. Now, we throw them in the dishwasher a lot too. Just depends on the mood we're in. Well, I have a few minutes to spare here anyways. Waiting on these noodles to soften up. I went ahead and just washed it by hand. We'll have that big pot go in there. Our bowls and everything. The dishwasher's gonna be pretty well loaded after everything we already had. Almost had a full sink to start with. So I went ahead and washed it. That way everything can get in one load. Heavy whipping cream is what it calls for. And a lot of your stews, soups, stuff of that nature, it's going to call for stuff like this. Part of the flavor profile, I guess, whatever you want to call it. Really adds to it. That's a good way to thicken it up so it ain't so soupy. And you can always add got just a couple more minutes. It's coming out very nice. So I gotta get something a little bit better. As you can see, come out nice. Once I add the heavy cream, it will thicken up more. I did do more broth this time, so I got more juices in it. I said last time I did 6 cups of broth in this recipe. It called for 6 to 8. Only did 6, and once you add the noodles and it sets up, especially the next day, if it's you like the taste of it, you eat for leftovers. But hardly no juices left. A good chicken noodle soup does need some of the juices in there. So I did add more broth this time, make it thicken up. And it actually recommends you can actually make a little broth, extra a cup of broth. Do half a cup in each bowl when you reheat it, or add it to the whole thing. 2 cups of the whole thing. Reheat the whole thing, give it more of a soup flavor, or more liquid in it. That way, if you eat it, second time the next day after it's set up, because the noodles will keep absorbing some of it. It'll just thicken up naturally. Okay. Just a couple more minutes. Got a little bit of chew to the noodles. They're not cooked all the way through yet. It does have good flavor though, I like. We're currently started this video, it's goofing off. We're at 1.5 hours, and that's with me getting everything set up, prep. Like I said, try to do under 2 hours, works out. And that's everything. I've cleaned everything up, everything's put away, all my seasonings put away. All you gotta do is add this. I got 1 pot to add, and of course when we get done eating the bowls, we rinse them out, add them right in the dishwasher. So 2 hours, you made a full meal, did dishes, did the whole thing, cleaned up the kitchen. So you see, it's not overly difficult to do. Something you can add to. Most of these recipes, I try to make it where you can add it, fit into schedules, common stuff we have in the house. I'm not going to do anything crazy. If for some reason this becomes a thing that I do more and it gains popularity and all that good stuff, then I may start randomly, once every couple weeks have, vote on some kind of crazy meal to let AI do it, and we'll do it. We'll go get the ingredients, try it out. But for now, I'm just doing recipes we like at the house. I'm gonna do some Alfredo, some kind of pasta, spaghettis, lasagnas. I've always had a lasagna meal I've done already, but made a little bit of tweaks to it through AI. I told it what ingredients I couldn't compromise on. Red wine cooking in with the meat, and the pasta sauce is sweet red wine is what I use. It really adds to the flavor of the lasagna. Maybe went a little bit overboard on the cheese this time, but still came out well. It came out to such a large portion. I used 2 pounds of meat that I'm divided into 3 meals for my family. So there's 3 of us. We ate the first one, enough left over. Second day, froze 2 more meals of the same quantity. So next time I can just pull them out. We have a lasagna meal already ready to go. I don't have to cook it. It's already done. All right. So a cup. Seemed like a cup to me, right? First couple recipes I did, I measured everything, and then I realized sometimes you gotta add a little bit more, and I don't think a little bit either way will make a difference. So some of that stuff I don't measure, and I poured a lot of cups of milk, cup of this, cup of that, cup of water for broths. So after the last couple weeks of this, I've gotten pretty good eye for what a cup is. Only if I have to mix like I did with the milk and the flour, mix it together because it's a set amount. But this has a flavor add-on. It's something I don't really measure per se. Just kind of pour it in, guess. That's pretty close to a cup. Might be a little bit less, might be a hair more. Either way, it comes out very nice. Might add a little bit of pepper here at the end. I didn't add any salt to this, even though it called for, I think, a teaspoon, half a teaspoon, something like that. We'll add it to our bowl sometimes if we want a little bit extra, pulling out the flavor, however. All right. Give it just another minute or 2 of stirring in this heavy cream. It recommends 3 to 5 minutes is what it stated. This makes it You saw my chicken soup before. This is the one I like with extra flavor. They call it a creamy homemade chicken noodle soup. You can see the difference now. You can see it's got the cream base to it. That's it. We got more liquid in it this time, so feeling good about this one. Each time I do a recipe, I know what I did wrong the first time. I make a few changes. Hamburger stew, I doubled up the meat. Thought it'd be good. It's probably too much meat compared to the vegetable ratio. So either I need to make a super pot, or cut back on the hamburger to the 1.5 pounds instead of like a 3 pound like I did last time. And that's the good thing. You can go in wherever you found you did wrong. Remind chat that when you get done, like, hey, didn't have enough broth. Add into the recipe, redo the recipe where I had a little bit more broth, and it'll reprint it out. Instead of 6 cups, went with 8 cups this time. So it's going to come out very nice. Have more of that chicken flavor in it, the chicken soup, the liquid part. Especially if you're under the weather, you like to sip on. Just going to serve with some crackers and some butter. Dip in. It's going to be it. And I think everything's about done here. The final thing left to do is get a spoonful for my taste tester. She's out there. It's always weird in our family. Seems like our son will get sick first. I'm second. She's the last one to get sick. So it goes through a week and a half cycle where one of us is sick for some reason during that time. Yeah, that's not bad at all. I say that again, my taste buds are not overly where I can taste all the small details. I can taste if it tastes good. It tastes good to me, but I let my son and my wife determine if it's a repeatable meal, because sometimes I'll eat stuff, but if I have an option for something else, I'll go with something else. But stuff like this, pretty good. I'll eat 2 days in a row. Let me take this in there for a final taste test, and we're done. Even better this time, huh? All right, I'm gonna turn this off. See right here at the end of this little simmer, have a couple little bubbles coming in. Stirring everything around, it takes a little rid of it. You don't want it to boil, especially with the heavy cream. Sure, there's a reason. I'm gonna ask that guy, but if I was guessing, I'd probably say it breaks down or something like that. But yeah, we're just gonna grab a couple bowls, couple spoons. Have some chicken noodles for lunch here, and then that's gonna be a day. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, like I said, comment. At first, few comments I'll probably watch, but if it gets where it's a lot of comments, I'll run through AI, let it pull out main themes, questions, have it respond the same way. But for the most part, that's what this is for. We're using technology to help us cooking. Nothing fancy you need, no special, ingredients, utensils. Most of it's stuff you have in the house, flour. Here in the South, everyone has potatoes, onions. It seems like carrots a lot of times. So you can build a flavor profile. I even had a print out a grocery list for me. I say print out, just had it on my phone. That's what I used when I went to the grocery store. Got what extra seasons I typically needed. Got some extra celery I didn't have. It's one of those, sometimes you get celery, it's gone that week. Sometimes it sits in there until it rots. But now that I'm cooking more, I do go through it a lot more. But I do appreciate you watching. I said it's Cooking with AI. We're going to keep doing recipes, keep pulling up different ingredients, meals, or not really ingredients, but different recipe styles. Basic stuff we either cook in a crock pot or here on the stove. I'm going to try to do 3 or 4 of these a week. We'll keep going. Hopefully you'll like it. Just follow me. Keep in touch, If you got any questions, comments, as we go, I'll start taking recommendations on meals to try. I'm doing a little bit of everything, full meals. I'm going to be honest, most of the side dishes, if it comes to green beans, peas, stuff like that, greens, I'm going to open up a can, heat them up, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm not getting big into side stuff like that. It's the main course that I'm building or cooking. I will do cornbread, stuff like that, but most other stuff, get it out of the can, heat it up, tastes good. It's perfectly fine for me. All right, there we're 1 hour and 38 minutes on this video. A lot of talking, a lot of just prep work, but Whole thing's done. Kitchen's clean, food's cooked, so we're good to go. See y'all next time.